Hi friend, in this video we will discuss about shells. So what is shell and why we call it shell? So we will understand in this video. So shell is a special user program which provide an interface to use operating system services. So if any user want to use the operating system, so the question is how he will be using the operating system. So there should be some medium, there should be some interface between the user and operating system. So we can say that shell is interface between the user and operating system. So using shell only, user can use the operating system, and it's the environment in which we can write program or commands or any scripting to perform the specific operation on the operating system. And main job of shell is it takes the input from the end user, and it convert that input into the machine readable form, because when any user pass the input or write command to the shell, that is in human readable form, but machine does not understand the human readable form. Machine only understand either binary or machine language. So it's very necessary to convert that human readable form into machine language, and pass that to kernel, because kernel is the main part of operating system, and it is doing the low level job. So it will receive the data from a shell, and it will execute that, and it will again pass to the shell. And since the kernel will be accepting the machine language, and its output also will be in machine language, and it will pass to the shell. So again it's job of shell to convert that output into human readable form, then only end user can understand. And why we call it shell? Because it is outermost layer of any operating system. So this is the main reason we call it shell. And why we use shell? Because the kernel is main part of operating system, and user cannot directly interact with the kernel. So it is very much necessary to get any medium to interact with the kernel. So shell is a medium. Shell provides the feasibility to end user to interact with the kernel. Whenever any operating system gets started, any user logs in, shell automatically start. Either user has to open the shell. Shell means command line or terminal in Unix related environment. So whenever user opens this one, automatically shell environment get started. And it is of mostly two types. Either user can use the command line, or user can use the GUI, and it is specific to the operating system. Some of the operating system provides the feasibility to use both command line and GUI. Whatever the operation we can perform using the CLI, same thing can be done using GUI. So in CLI, there are some sorts of command to perform the specific operation. Here you can see there are some reusable utilities. So reusable utilities are nothing but some of the specific commands or script we can write on the shell, and shell will do the operation using those commands. And if we are using the GUI, so we don't need to write any command. Simply we can control the operation using the mouse cursor. So anything, either you write anything on the file, you create file, delete file, or create any of the folder or any directory. Same thing can be done using the GUI. So there are two types, and some of the devices like Windows or Ubuntu kind of devices provide both type of shells. Either we can use command line, or we can use GUI. So in Linux or in Unix related things, shells, there are one tool called terminal. So using terminal we can use the shell, and in Windows it is called the command line utility. So using a Windows command line utilities, or we can use the PowerShell also to use the shell. And why there is necessary, as I have told already, directly a user cannot connect with the kernel, and kernel is main part of operating system. So that is the main medium. Shell is the main medium to interact with the kernel. And those who don't know about what is kernel, so I would like to tell that kernel is very main part and heart and core of operating system, which controls the hardware. So there should be some medium using which hardware should be controlled of any machine. So kernel does that job. Kernel is it's not operating system, but it is the main part of operating system, and it is doing some of very important low level job, and it is the innermost layer of any operating system. And its job specifies some of the things like disk management, memory management, process management, task management, and input output management. Those all things can be controlled using the kernel. And kernel acts like bridge between the user and hardware, because user also cannot interact directly with the hardware, and neither user can contact directly with the kernel. So how user can control the hardware? So he has to interact with the shell, and shell will be interact with the kernel, and kernel will be controlling the hardware. So this is how any operating system works, and any applications are there that will be installed on kernel. So if I need to control the applications installed in any operating system, so either you can use the GUI, and we can use the CLI. So both shells can be used to control the applications. So I hope this is clear, and that's all in today's video.